Welcome to Money Convos, where we discuss personal finance and investment tips. We're committed to helping people create wealth and achieve financial freedom. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Clubhouse, and Facebook, and subscribe to our YouTube and podcast. All right then, let's head into today's conversation.
Hello, Bishop. How you doing?
Hello, Elikem. I'm doing good. Yourself?
I'm doing great, brother. I'm doing good.
Nice. Good to hear.
Yeah, it's just the last couple of weeks, last 2 weeks were very stressful, but Saturday I finished some major things. So my body has gone into rest mode. I make slow, small.
Rest
Yeah,
is important.
Charlie, I've been trying to not rest, but Charlie, the body wants Charlie. You know that when you are reading something and you're reading it Charlie, you read the same thing over and again.
I know,
So
right?
yeah, man must take the proper time off. Yeah. Dennis, how you doing?
Hi, Elikem. I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm good, my brother. I'm good. Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah. So today we are gonna talk about something interesting. Property. Something we all wish we could get, but not everybody was born with a silver spoon in their mouth. So we're gonna talk about inheritance. Something that we hope that we can leave for people when we are gone. But until then, if somebody gives us something, or somebody leaves something for us, it will be good for us to talk about what to do with it before the time comes, so that when the time comes, we'll be prepared. It's also interesting, the timing, because earlier this week, I think it must have been on Sunday or Monday, I was listening to the Dave Ramsey show, and one of the callers asked something about an inheritance. So it just feeds into this conversation. Yeah. So let's get into this. Adam, Charlie, have you ever received an inheritance?
No. Okay, I got something. It looked like it was something small, but it was cool. It was like when my grandfather passed. I remember my dad coming home and giving me some piece of cloth, like seems like it had been kept. Those the old men and women, they buy these cloths and pick. So he handed it over and told me that is what my grandfather said he should give to me or something like that.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, it's still there. I still have it.
Hey, sir, I'm curious. Why are you still keeping it?
When the topic came up, that's what my mind went straight to. That why was I still keeping it? Because I actually almost sent it to go and sew. Then I just paused in a minute. I was like, oh no, why don't I just keep this like it becomes like a relic or something that will be handed down generations. Like just that's what just went through my mind. So I have it somewhere in my wardrobe. So I intend to pass it to my children, and they should pass it on. Like just so that they will one day say, oh, this cloth was in maybe my grandfather died in 2013. So this cloth is from about 2013 or something. And it looks strange, but in some years to come, people will be looking back at 2013 and be wondering what kind of year it was. So that's what came to mind.
Yeah, that's an interesting one, old cloth, and it's just getting me thinking about some of the things that different generations use as store of wealth. These days, the Gen Z people, Dennis and his people, they'll be talking about cryptocurrency, but the oldies, especially when I take like my mom, when as they were younger, and they would think, okay, they are forever home. They will buy some fine china. They will buy those kind of things, whether to save against inflation or something, or they'll buy all these things and keep it there, and it becomes a museum in the house. That's interesting, and I get you keeping it for sentimental reasons. Yeah, that kind. If you go and sew it right now, apart from the fact that the tailor or the seamstress will steal some of it, then you wear it and to get spoiled. But anyway, interesting. Hello, Mimi. I see you in the audience. Feel free to join us up here to share your perspectives on what you do when you receive inheritance. Okay. Dennis, how about you? Have you ever received inheritance?
Yes. So when my grandfather died in 2006, he left some pieces of land to his children and grandchildren, and I happen to be one of the grandchildren. So yeah, I think that's the only one I've received.
Hey, you are saying the only one as if it's nothing. Hey,
Can you imagine? Plot of land.
imagine if this is cocoa land too. Is it cocoa land?
No, Bearland, nothing
I see. Yeah, that's interesting. And is it clearly demarcated? Does everyone know where their own is?
No,
So it's we all know that all of us we have a stick in this one.
all of us we dey inside. So.
Hey, that is interesting. That's the kind of thing that we are going to talk about today. Kind of thing that we are going to talk about today. Interesting. Okay, cool. All right, let's bring Mimi up. Mimi, dear, you know Mimi is a resident DB. Mimi, dear, she was born with a silver spoon in her mouth, so I'm sure that she's inherited like 4 times already. So once she connects. Hi, Mimi, how you doing? Hello, Mimi.
Can you hear me?
Yes, you can hear you now.
Oh.
Okay, looks
Yeah,
like we're
what's up?
losing
Hi,
you.
everyone.
Hi, Mimi. It's been a long time we've heard your voice.
Yeah? Okay, I think I may have to bring Mimi back. Okay, we'll circle back. Maybe please just check your connection and then we can bring you back up here so that you tell us about all your DV inheritances. Yeah. For me, to the best of my knowledge, I haven't received inheritance yet or before. At this point, I don't have any more grandparents left, so all my opportunities are gone. But yeah, it's no inheritance for me. It's such a sad living. Anyway, we'll take it like that. Let me see if Mimi is back or if she's. Mimi, can you try and mute and speaking and let's see.
Hey, can you give me like some 10 minutes?
Wonderful. We'll be waiting. Okay. All right. So, guys, what's the norm? Let's take Dennis' case study. Dennis, not to pick on your family members if they come and listen. So we are not picking on them. It's a good live business. Was a case study for us to use because I think that's the major thing that people think about, right? So somebody dies, a grandparent dies and leaves a piece of land to the family. Children, grandchildren, but some of the children and the grandchildren, we don't know that they are there or not. You understand? So what do we think should be done with this? Any goals? Let's not talk about what people do. Let's talk about what people should do. Dennis, what do you think?
Yeah, okay. So in the case where, in my situation where no names were mentioned, no proper demarcations were done on the property being left, which is the land, it becomes difficult when now we are all growing up. I'm growing up, my fellow cousins and siblings are also growing up, and everyone maybe at some point will realize they want a piece of the land, and demarcation becomes a problem. For instance, the land left to the children, which are our parents and uncles, it's now a problem because of a lot of issues, and the grandchildren could also face the same issues when we all grow up and reach their stage. So it's very important that the demarcation, and in the case of land, the demarcation and proper documentation is done. Else, it will turn into a civil war.
That's interesting. You know, it would be nice if we would all get along with each other. Wouldn't the world be such a nice place?
Yeah.
There will be no wars, no one shooting down missiles, nothing. Everybody will get visa free. If we all could get along with each other, but that's not the world we live in, right? We take even our family units, siblings disagree every now and then. Some families even more so than others. Sometimes even your best friend would not agree with the person on different issues, right? So we could start looking at it from a group perspective. If you give people assets without clearly demarcating, then it raises a whole lot of problems about how to divide it, especially if some people have a certain sense of entitlement. it becomes a problem. For example, someone will say, I'm the first, so I should take 90%, the rest of you should share the 10%. Like, where does this logic come from? Or should we share it equally? Someone may feel like they took care of the person in their last days, so they deserve more. Like, it becomes too fuzzy. So if it comes, in fact, we are not talking at the point of the person who is giving the property. Let's say we received it. For me, I think the best thing is try to separate yourself from the group, because the group can cause a problem. If there's a decision can be made about how you share it, just that, okay, this is my portion, I'm entitled to 1/10 or 1/20th, have it out for me. If someone wants to buy me out, the person can buy me out. Let me convert this into cash and go do something with it. All right, just avoid the drama. Okay. Sometimes, depending on how antagonistic it's going to be, you just have to walk away. You really just have to walk away, because some people, your relationship with them would just be ruined, and would like to keep family units together. So for me, I think it would be better to have a good relationship with my family members than to be fighting over some money. It may be significant amount of money, yes, but you always have to weigh it out, pros and cons thing, right? Also, I think with group, there's a dilution. For example, let's say it's a piece of land. Different people, the control is diluted across multiple people. And as more people have children, like Dennis, you were saying, like your father's level, let's say the children's level, it was maybe 5 people, right? How many siblings does your father have?
My father has 6.
6. So there are 7 in all. Look at that. 7.
Yeah.
Okay. And then how many siblings do you have?
So I have 2 siblings. In terms of grandchildren, we are counting around 12.
Yeah.
That I know.
So far. Oh, that's even a small number. 7 people bringing 12 per year. Yeah. It's even small, manageable. Imagine if everyone was doing 3 like your father was doing. Then 7 times 12 becomes 21. Then the next generation too comes. It becomes diluted, and different people want to do different things with their wealth and with the money. So someone will say, okay, let's build a hotel, let's build an event center. Someone will say, let's do this, let's do that. Someone will say, let's just leave the land for the value to appreciate. How do you make these decisions? It becomes a problem. All right. So with the group kind of assets, it's tricky. Another aspect is beyond land. When somebody leaves like a family house, and this I can see from my grandparents, my mother's father's side, right, where there's a family house, and this sibling will say, oh, that's his room, he will rent it out. This person will say that, and imagine, the OGs, their family houses were big. It was like compound house, so everyone's place is like self-contained, right? So imagine you are in Accra and you've got a tenant in the place, and your tenant is acting some type of way and affecting other siblings who are still living in their family house. Just drama. Like, so many opportunities for drama, and I think we can save ourselves all of that drama. And if you can turn it into cash, you can use the money to do whatever you want. Go make another investment. All right. So that's a bit on the group. Before we move on to individual ones, Eden, what do you think about when people receive inheritance in bulk like this?
Yeah, Elikem, my mind also goes in kind of the direction in which you were thinking. For me, I won't even find it difficult to just walk away from some of the drama, because I like my peace of mind. and sometimes these things degenerate to the extent that they become very contentious, and then like family, there's so much bad blood between family members, and it's all because sometimes things are not clearly spelled out. Our tradition is more, or in our parts here, we do a lot of oral stuff. We do a lot of handing over things by oral means, and we do a lot of things by, let's say, gentleman's agreements and all of that, and we hardly clearly write down the expectations that people have, or the direction in which we want to go. I believe that some of these things, yes, it's family, but certain things should be treated for what they are. They are transactions. And how do we treat transactions? We have paperwork attached to it. we have clearly spelled out objectives or ideas, what everybody's thinking, so that tomorrow someone will come back and turn around and say, this person has cheated. This thing that we are talking about, there are several cases, and I think it's one of the reasons why we don't have transgenerational, let's say business,
Intergenerational wealth.
intergenerational wealth, like and businesses and organizations transcending several generations, because the kind of bickering and quarrels that arise after normally a founder or something passes on, it's unimaginable. Someone was telling me a situation of a school where can you imagine a school, the founder dies, and now the children, they didn't know how to, I don't know what happened, but it's like, so let's say early came, you are the first one, you take class 1 to class 3 school fees. Then the second one is taken from class 3 to class 4. I mean, how can something like that even, I just can't imagine how a school like that will transcend into the next 3-4 years. It will collapse. You see, so these things, when it happens, normally the problem arises even from the point of it being transferred, because whoever is about to die or dies did not put clear cut things in paper. So when people take over, they are unable to agree and have a common focus to move forward. So in a situation, if we find ourselves in some of these things, if you have siblings or close relatives who are able to think in line with you, and you're able to forge a common goal forward, that's perfect. That's good, so that you can build on the legacy. Else, what we will end up having is that I will start something, do up to a point. When I'm no more, my children are able to continue. So they too, they also start, and we'll have this cycle over and over again. Whereas you could have had something that has a solid track record of, let's say, 50 years, then move on to the next 30 years. Then before you realize, something that has been there for centuries, So maybe what we should be doing, for us who are just having these discussions, is thinking ahead of ourselves, putting certain things better in paper, so that when we are transferring our properties, or because I believe that by God's grace, Money Convos listeners, Money Convos participants, we are going to do, based on the things that we have been studying and talking about and all of that, we are definitely going to be leaving legacies like the scripture tells us to do. So we would definitely have a lot of things to leave behind, and we would clearly spell out how these things are handed over. And then we would teach the next generation also how to handle these things when they get them. And then they should be able to pass it on to the next generation. And then it continues. Then we can break this vicious cycle of pettiness, where there's another case where this one, my church was buying land. Just one plot of land. It's like they have divided it into 5. Somebody's own is 10 feet. Another one is 5 feet wide. Another one. Elikem, how can you possibly deal with how can you possibly deal with about 10 different
For settle everybody. Everybody has to be settled.
So Charlie, I mean, that's what I have to say.
Yeah, that's well, an amen and amen to us and our audience being in a position where we can do this. We will need to do it because we can afford it, right? This I like how you brought a call to action from this, and it gets me thinking. So the people who are able to do this, how have they done it well? And again, remembering the context of this conversation, like the person leaving the property is already dead and gone. So the rest of us who are surviving, what can we do, right? If you can have a conversation with the people you are sharing this inheritance with, and you can set up a trust, or set up even in a Ghanaian sense, a company, all right, and let the company own the property, all right, then everybody will be given shares in the company. I took a class earlier this semester. Was it the semester? I think it was earlier this semester, yes. And the title is leadership in family business. So it's a class about family businesses, and they brought people who were in various types of family businesses. I think I alluded to it in an old episode. There was one that is a farm. You would think, oh, these farm, they how much money? Bro, these people are raking in millions. And there were 3 generations. The first generation, the founder, he's 93, but the man is standing on his feet. He looks like he's just 70. Interesting. Very loud voice. So the first generation in 93, his son is 57. The son is now managing the show. And then the third generation, that's the grandchildren level, is one of the grandchildren came. He's the son of the one who's now managing it. He's 19. Understand? They have a legacy. All of them, all three generations who were present there have been to Cornell. The youngest was supposed to start Cornell undergrad, but he took a year off to go and do whatever, travel and all those things. When you're rich, you get all these ideas. But anyway, so they are now looking at how they are passing on from generation to generation. But the lesson in this is, at a point, the first generation person, when he was around in his 60s, he started giving shares in the company to various children and grandchildren who are alive. Once somebody becomes alive, then he starts giving them the annual within the taxable limits. The benefit of that is now everybody has shares. If you want to spend more money than the business is generating, what do? You sell your shares to another family member who is willing to buy. And then so the second generation person who was running the business, because he has more confidence in the business, he's been buying more shares. He even borrows to go and buy shares. So he will stand ready. There are clear written instructions that, okay, the business will pay dividends, or people can withdraw up to 5% of how much they hold every year without even having to sell. The business will generate the liquidity to give them. So you can come up with agreements with your family members. If you can agree to this, let's set up a company. Everyone have shares. So if there are like Dennis' father's case, there are 7 children. So second generation is 7 children. We divide the company up into 7. Below that, so Dennis' father's 1/7. If he has 20 children, or he has 10 children, or he has just 2 children, they all have to eat into his branch of the tree. That way, coming down, everyone gets to it becomes fair. The more children you have, the more you have people you have to divide it by. That's that way. Like Dennis, like Adam was saying, it's a business transaction. You treat it like a business. If you have to get somebody to manage it and you pay the person, okay, this is our property, this is a business, it's a school, rather than this person take class 2 to class 3, like there are expenses too. How do you cover that, right? So it's the profits and we are all sharing it. I think that's where there's some hope that such a group thing would work. And if somebody wants out because maybe they need to cash out, they have an emergency, or they want to fund their child's education abroad, then there would be provisions to let them share their to let them sell their shares either to some other family members, or if they allow, outsiders can also come in. But all these things now raise thoughts about corporate governance and now running a business, and you have to do these things in a proper way. In another conversation, we can get into all of that, right? So let's continue on with this conversation. Let's now come to the simple sense. One person, you have received a piece of cloth, or a piece of land, or a piece of or a property, a house in Transaco, or you've been given a house at Yafa by the roadside that has stores and stuff, like whatever it is. You've received some property. It could even be an investment account. You received shares in MTN or Unilever or GCB from Backback or StanCharts, like whatever it is, or you received any bank account. Let's just say you've received something of value. My first question is, must you keep that thing in its same form? What I mean is, if it's a house, must you keep it as a house? Okay, your father left you with a 5-bedroom house. You are going to keep it as is. They left you with StanChart shares. Are you going to keep StanChart shares? I get the sense that a lot of people just say, well, they gave it to you like this, so you have to keep it like that. Adam, what are your thoughts on it?
Elike, as with a lot of financially related questions, the answer is not very straightforward. But I think the question as you were asking is, must you keep it in the same form? I don't think you need to keep it in, like it is a must. Okay, but I think there are so many dynamics there's so many factors that play into whether you keep it the way it is, or make some changes to what it is, or you dispose it off completely. There are different conditions under which you would want to keep it or dispose of it or make some changes to it. I don't know. Do you want me to delve into that, or you want to go around first?
Oh, actually, I have it. I have. Let me pick it up. Let me pick it up. Kind of in the thoughts that I see in different circumstances.
Yeah.
Right. For me, I think this is one of the easier things. This is one of the easiest things you can answer in finance. The answer is no. And I want to introduce this concept, the sunk cost fallacy, and also an analysis or doing a sunk cost analysis, which says don't think about the past, think about the future. So you received a house. Property assets, they can all be boiled down to a simple number. They have a value, they are a store of value. So put it in the value form. And you ask yourself, okay, right now you've received, let's call it a 10-bedroom house, but you are a young man. Yeah, like Dennis, you just came out of university, you're doing national service, you have plans that maybe in 3 years to come, you go and do a master's, you go and do this, you go and do that. What should you do? Interesting. I actually had a call from a friend like 2 years ago. It looked like he had inherited like $250,000. Hey, Charlie, people do. But anyway, he asked me what he should do to it. I told him leave it in a bank account. Your needs will change. So you ask, what do I need right now? If somebody gave me that thing in a value, what do I need? Just because my grandfather thought it's a good idea to have a 10-bedroom house doesn't mean it's a good idea for me to have a 10-bedroom house. Maybe your grandfather was managing a hotel. Is it a good idea for you to manage a hotel? If you don't have the skill to manage a hotel, should you do it? No. So you ask, it's all about what decisions would you make without knowing the history of the asset and make that decision. Like there's sentiments and all that. I get how people will talk about legacy and sentiments, but if the sentiments and legacy are going to lead you into ruin, it's a bad idea. It is a bad idea. The proper way to look at it is, what do I need moving forward? And if you are in a position where you say, no, I have a lot of debt, or I want to move out of the country, so I need money to fund my education, I'll need X amount of money. Liquidate the property. Yeah, there were some sentiments to it, but you know that you're at this point, your best thing to do is to invest in yourself so that you can go and come back and do better. That is another way of growing it. Just because you sold the house, just because you sold the land, doesn't mean you've thrown away all the value. No, you can sell the land to go and buy maybe a different piece of land, or to go and do an investment in a company or in a mutual fund that you believe in, or you invest it in your education. There are many other things you could do. I'm not saying go and do one specific thing, but all I'm saying is analyze it without thinking about the past. Analyze it thinking about what should you do into the future. All right. It's, for example, if somebody gave you Stanchart shares, does that mean you're going to hold Stanchart shares forever? What if you receive it and you talk to someone who is in finance and they say, look, at this particular point, Stanchart is not a buy. We expect that the value would come down, or it's not a good company, or the management of the company has changed since your grandfather bought it many years ago. He had certain sentiments, but now there are other stocks that you should rather buy. Or maybe because of your risk appetite and certain moves you need to make, you need an emergency fund first, you need XYZ. You have to come up with a whole financial plan. So it involves you selling the Stanchart shares. You have to do that. There's no benefit to you holding on to something that is not good for you, because that's the form you received it in. So it's really leave the past behind and think about what you need moving forward. And that's what I think. Dennis, how about you? What do you think that we can circle back to them?
I'm here.
Hey, Mimi, give us 1 second, why? Because we have to give you a whole introduction.
So I think I align with what you said, and I think my family members would benefit from this thinking, because the portion of my family that's a bit educated proposed a plan to, add some value to some of the lands, maybe build something of value like stores or something, but majority have been rejecting, saying, or because of these sentimental values, Ija the giant, or see the giant, that kind of thing. So I don't know whether literacy is playing a part, but I think I align with what you are saying, and if we all do that, it would really help.
That's interesting. Someone said tradition is peer pressure from dead people. And that's similar to what you are saying, right? The person let you in this
Yeah.
way, so you have to keep it that way. Yeah, I think for me, if I leave an inheritance to someone, unless there are strict conditions, let's assume, let's say, hopefully, like with the plans we have for money convos, right? We would like it to go on for generations to come. But I want it to solve a problem. If eventually money convos, we are gone and the problem that money convos was trying to solve is fixed, then there's no need for money convos to exist as it is, right? It should be given a new mandate, so it's in the same light. The person who was making it, their economic environment or their current situation call for something different, so why should you be holding on to that? But anyway, let's swing to Mimi. Mimi, welcome. In the beginning, I was putting some allegation on you. I asked everyone a question: that have they received inheritance before? Apparently, I'm the only one here who is poor and I haven't received inheritance before. But you, I know you were born
Me
with,
too.
oh, Mimi, you were born with a silver spoon and a silver fork in your mouth.
Amen.
So tell us about the inheritance you've gotten before.
Please, I've not gotten any inheritance.
Okay, all right. It's allowed. Your people are still
Maybe
healthy.
my middle name is from my grandfather, so maybe that's why I have.
You inherited a name. That's a good one. Hey, they said a good name is more valuable than riches.
It's
So,
better than riches.
and we know you're a good person, so I guess it's worked out. Yeah. So maybe the question on the floor now is if you receive an inheritance of any form, all right, whether it's a bank account with money inside, is land, is real estate, whatever it is, must you keep it in the same form? If yes, why? If no, why not? And what should you do?
Okay, so this is my opinion about how I would do my things. For me, I believe in generational wealth, and so it's something that I would like to keep. But I mean, you made some very good points. So I think that ideally, what I would love to set up, if I did have the resources, is to set up a trust. Because I don't want, like, I want, like, 100 years after, for my descendants to say, oh, grandma, Mimi in like 20, whatever, left us this, and, this is how we have benefited, and even build on it. But I do get that things may change. So I think the trust would help the company set up a company, and whoever is in charge will take decisions that will be to the benefit of the beneficiary. So this is if the ideal situation, if I get to the place where I think I have enough funds to set up a trust. Yeah, otherwise, I would have loved for my assets not to be sold. I would have loved for it to, be passed on from one generation to the other. But if it's going to be useless, let me look from here. If it's going to be useless in a couple of years, I would rather it was liquidated to solve a problem. And I would prefer my assets to also be the type that generates income, so that it's still solving a problem, but it doesn't need to be disposed of before it solves a problem. I don't know if you get what I'm saying.
Totally
So
get you.
That's my personal view, because I mean, I think that if we could all build on what our predecessors had done, like, wouldn't that be beautiful? Like, that would be nice. I know it's not, there are different things that may happen that may affect, or prevent this dream from happening. But for me, that would be my ideal situation.
I get you. That's I like the part where if it's kept in a financial, if it's kept as something that's generating income, then it's easier to pass on, right? But if you don't mind, let me challenge this notion. I can't, I know where to go find the statistics, but I think in the US, is it 30% of businesses get passed on to a second generation, and only 5 or 3% get passed on to a third generation. So even in the societies where people actually do this intergenerational wealth thing, it's tricky. It's not 100% thing that gets to be done. It's select few that last long. And so the question is, how do we have a structure that solves the need that you have? And I picked up on the need, and correct me if I'm wrong. The need is you want 100 years to come, your descendants would say, you know what, we are where we are, or we have what we have because great grandmother Mimi gave us passed something down that was able to be handed over, and now I'm benefiting from it, right? Mimi, am I getting the end need correct?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. You know, when I here in school, I get to see when you're in a Ivy League school right now with a craze pan. One of my school buildings, see when they say crazy rich Asian, there is an Asian, a young Asian. I don't want to say young boy out of respect, but basically in the mornings, then he comes to park his Bentley Bentayga there, and then he's gone to class. Then sometimes other people come and park Porsche and this and that, right? I can just imagine there's some intergenerational wealth in here. And sometimes they may not even know the business involved. And I look at these things and I'm like, wow, I wish my children could do this. Maybe I'll give them the Bentley, but I wish they could afford to do it. But anyway, I digress. I feel like money is one of the most fungible things. Such that if it's a holding company, like you alluded or you mentioned, a trust, where it's flexible, it's something that is holding it. If you want to keep participating in it, you keep your shares in it. If you don't and you want to liquidate, you can sell your shares to somebody and we continue the thing. A lot of businesses don't last that long, but family structures do last that long. Not a building, but a company, right? So with that in mind, I guess then it gets us to start rethinking what is the goal of this property. If this property is to prolong intergenerational prosperity, then let's not look at the form of the asset it's in. How do we transform it into something that will continue, right? And yeah, so I think in that light, yeah, we are all aligned in that. Let's circle back to Edem. I'm sure by now we've stolen all the filler that Edem had planned. Edem had some grand plans for the property. Edem, what would you do?
Oh, Elikem, it's similar to what you have been talking. Like I have been thinking about this company structure in a while. Elikem, I beg, please circle back here.
Okay, sure. So while we wait here, what Edem was gonna say, there's another twist to this. So the question could come as, okay, under what circumstances can we not change the form? Because if somebody gives you their assets and you think you're looking for it, it's the best decision to keep it the same way, that's great. But sometimes some assets come with conditions. Someone give an inheritance and say that, yes, Dennis, my grandson, if you marry Adwa Mansa, then you can get this inheritance. Meanwhile, Dennis doesn't like Adwa Mansa 111. So now what would Dennis do? Dennis, I'll circle back to you and let you answer this question.
You marry a drama.
Hey, Mimi, because of property, you should marry Adwa Mansa. Meanwhile, Adwa Mansa is not good for him. We'll let Dennis answer for himself in a second. I think Edem is back. Yeah, Edem, please tell us your grand plans.
Oh no! So I was saying that the whole idea of how do they call it in keeping properties across generations. I buy into how you were talking about forming a company or a trust to secure all these things, and then people can buy themselves or sell themselves out, and people buy, other family members can buy. That has generally been my thinking about these things. Then, I was talking about the fact that must you keep it? I think, yeah, that was generally I tend towards the answer of no. You must not necessarily have to, like, it is not an obligation, but like you were asking just now, there might be some kind of caveat or certain thing in terms and conditions when you receive this property. Some people might say, don't sell it. Or, I mean, I don't know. I haven't seen, at least from what I haven't seen anybody say it, but people can have different kinds of views about certain things. So if that is part of the condition upon which you have received it, then you just have to, the wishes of a dead man, we normally don't contest that. We just flow with it. Then I think, but for most of us, what will happen is that you would have to do some modification, maybe not an outright disposal, but some kind of modification. Like you were saying, circumstances do change. So maybe somebody was running we have a 10 bedroom, like you were giving the example, as a house and has been handed over to you. You have to keep it like that, in that form. Could it turn into something else? Maybe it's just a house, just sitting somewhere. Can you turn it into a business? Is it possible for the family members? For you to run it? All these questions are there that have to run through your mind, and then make a decision. Like I said, it is a transaction, so we should treat it as such. So the numbers should also make sense. But there are some one or two times where maybe sentiments might have to play a role. I don't know. I think I had an example. I don't know. It just escaped my mind where some legacy things, not that it is a negative venture in a certain sense, but it's not really, really bringing in some kind of returns like you would expect. But for legacy's sake, you would want to keep it for the next generation. So it's also part of life. And I think we are allowed to have that, even though we normally speak a lot about rational decisions as money convos. I feel once in a while we can allow some small percentage of certain decisions for shaggy reasons, just to make life complete. Else it will be too calculate. Everything is about calculations and numbers. That takes out the fun out of life. That's my that's my thinking on that. Yeah.
Interesting. The last part of let there be some small sentiment or something, and I want to put emphasis on the small, tiny percentage of that. Like we can't live 100% of our life on vibes and sentiments and emotions and how somebody feels. But yes, 5% every now and then. Okay, it won't change your life. Like if the decision you go like, okay, this is some property you've received and it's gonna be whatever you do with it. If you lose that money or you lose that value or you don't cash out and you just leave the property to in its old form to another person's wishes, is it gonna make or break you? If it's not, then fine. Yeah, that's okay. But I too often I see people take emotional decisions. Some of them they'll say YOLO, some of them they'll say, oh, it's tradition, you understand. And people are just making bad decisions. So emphasis on small portion. We can't be living our life entirely like that. I also want to ask about, or maybe not ask. It's more like, why are we saying you should change the form and make sure it's appropriate for you, right? There are certain situations that some property will not be good for you. For example, me as I'm here right now, if somebody makes the mistake of dashing me a Bugatti, will I keep it? No. Yes, I like cars. But right now, I can't afford to keep a Bugatti. You change oil alone, $20,000. Oil that you be changing every 1 or 2 or 3 months. And can if you go and speed, hey, how can I? How much is even the salary that oil change alone is 20,000? Or even where you be driving that car around, this place, Cantonment, Dankwa Circle, and then the trotros coming from Circle, then they'll come and match you in your Bugatti. I can't afford that. Despite it, so they can buy spare parts for Bugatti. So if they leave me with Bugatti, the first order of business, sell it. I am not in a position. It will become a burden. You understand? So when the property that you are left with is beyond your capability, maybe it's a business. Let's talk about this school. You have your own career going on as a doctor or whatever, an engineer or in whatever other field, and you are not in a position to run the school. You are not in a position to run whatever business. It's a sawmill. It's whatever. Best of, can you hire somebody to manage it? Or will the assets be better? Yeah, if you can hire somebody else and you are a shareholder and you are paying the person to manage it well, great. But will it be better in somebody else's hand so that you can sell the business to another company that can run it well, another entrepreneur who can run it well, and then you use that money to go and boost your own business or your own profession? one day you say that, oh yeah, I got to where I got to because grandpa or grandma or my mom or my dad left this property for me that I was able to transform and use to boost my business. Like eventually, certain things become a burden. Or a young boy like Dennis, then they leave him with a 10-bedroom house. Meanwhile, it's just him living inside. Then tomorrow, the plumbing will do this. Tomorrow, you have to the street lights. Another time, I'm Roberts will come and rob this. Like, is it his national service? How much they give you? If I let me not out say Ram here. How much do they give you that you use it for all those maintenance? So it can be a bit of a burden. That's one of the reasons why we are saying you need to be thinking forward. What is good for you in your financial plan, right? But back to the very pertinent question that Mimi was saying that Dennis should marry a drama master. Dennis, if you got major property and the condition is that you have to marry a drama master, will you marry a drama master?
A drop answer it's not bad. A drop answer is nice. So
you've not been set your eyes on a drama master before.
Oh, we will talk. We will talk. Everything is a transaction.
Hey, Dennis. Now that's a transaction. No.
I can't talk to you. Everything is a transaction. You will talk.
Hey, please, what's the news? Adam, who taught you? I beg, it's Adam and Mimi who are telling you this. Interesting. Okay. All right. So, I hope we've given our audience enough of a context on how to make this decision. First off, we hope you get some inheritance. We hope that of course, we don't want anyone to die, but it's the natural order of things. We will come and we will go. If you read Dennis' Twitter handle up there, is it Twitter or something handle? He said the proper function of man is to live, not to exist. So I shall not waste my days in trying to prolong them. I will use my time. So when the time comes and it's time to go, we hope that people will leave their back nicely for you and you would be a good steward of it and use it for the future and the generations beyond you. Adam, any more thoughts on this topic?
Yeah, Elikem, I wanted to bring another angle that sometimes we forget. Yes, inheritance is normally a very wonderful thing and all that, but sometimes it comes with liabilities. And you might have had, it's possible you have a situation where they've left you a house and then maybe they've never paid ground rent before. And yeah, because I don't know, when I was prepared, I remember having a conversation with one of a friend in the area, and when they brought, recently they increased the ground rents in our area, and when they brought the bill, what happens is that for state housing, if let's say I think this year is about 600 cedis or so, and if you are owing, let's say 5 years, you will pay at current rate, not the previous rate. So this particular guy in the neighborhood, they have never even paid before, and they've been around for about 20 years. And so that would be 600 times 20. So imagine maybe somebody dying and passing over this house to you, and they've not paid this ground rent for the past 20 years. So you are looking at 600 cedis times 20. And that should tell you the kind of money you are owing. And then some other things, probably property tax has not been paid in a while, or in some, sometimes collections are a bit problematic in our parts. But one day they will come and then the record will show you have not paid. So when property is handed over to us, we should try and go and check and ensure that there's no encumbrance. I think that's the legal, or just in case, maybe the person used to take a loan and he hasn't finished paying, you are there fighting as siblings, not knowing your father mortgaged the house. So you would have to be checking all these things to be sure, just so that you are not caught by surprise when or caught up in some legal tussle when all these things you've not done these due diligence, I should say. I don't know where. I think that's how I can call it. So check to ensure that there are no this thing, especially if you are in the process of trying to dispose it of. and so that it will not be as though you have defrauded someone, because you might genuinely not know all these things were there. Yeah. Thanks.
Wow. And Brances, Charlie, word of the day. You go and do all this thing. You'll be fighting over debts. That would be funny. Anyway, maybe how about you? Any closing remarks on this issue of what to do with property you inherit, as you anticipate yours?
Like Adam said, sometimes people inherit properties but can't even, transfer it into their name or do much with it because of the associated cost. So even though this may sound annoying, it will be important for the person who is leaving the inheritance to just think through how the inheritance will be valuable to the next generation. So I have heard of situations where people take a life insurance so that when they die, at least the money that's paid takes care of, being able to transfer assets and some of these, costs
Taxes.
that they think, yes, taxes and these costs that they think whoever they are leaving the property to will may not be able to handle. And but for me, I think I would go with financial assets. Maybe I've not thought through it, but I think it's a bit simpler. It's a bit simpler. Especially if I go with, let's say for example the S&P, right? Knowing that it has its own way of moving out companies that are no longer top companies. Like it has its own, like I think I'll use financial assets and have rules, set up rules. If you hit 30 and you've shown this and this skills, you are of, like, I come to blow my money foolishly or use it to go and buy something. If I was standing by you, I won't accept. So, I may have what do you call it, some rules to it. But assuming you have been left something that you really cannot manage, I think the main goal of the person leaving the thing is to lighten the burden of the next generation, right? And so if it's not doing that, maybe you may have to sell parts of it, sell all of it. If you can sell part and still have a stake in it. For example, with this JV, joint venture arrangement, where you have another person come and take the land, build on it, and take most of the apartments, but you still have something that you can hold on to. I think that would be a nice arrangement. However, if that is not available and you need to sell, make sure that you are selling and doing something reasonable with the money, and making sure that it's not only about you, but it's something that you can also, at least you are also passing on something to the next generation to lighten the burden. Yeah.
That's good stuff, Mimi. I can see that when Mimi in her estate planning, there will be a lot of contingencies in there. So people should be warned. Aseda and Co. They should. Mimi, your children are Aseda and Inshira, right? I'm getting the names right. Yeah, but I'm sorry, Aseda and Adum. They should pay attention and behave properly. In fact, we know that they will behave properly, not a problem. All right, let's switch to Dennis. Dennis, what do you have to tell your Gen Z friends when they receive their inheritance? They should go to Bloomberg to blow it all, or they should buy land.
No, so I think we've hammered on a lot of points today. Unlike the olden days or in the days of our grandfathers, there are a lot of asset classes that we've mentioned. So I liked it when Mimi mentioned people considering financial assets. You can look at a lot of options if that will favor you more. I think the concept of the company thing and then dealing on the business it's a concept we can explore more, and it will really help. So I think a lot of points have been mentioned. And from my experience with my family, I think I will be leaning more to financial assets more than tangible, because tangible is causing a lot of troubles for us. So we should consider all these decisions when leaving our inheritance to people.
Ali, so much trouble. I remember when a story Kojo Adaimensa used to say a lot. His grandfather was one of the richest men in Ghana back in the day. I'm trying to remember the name. I don't remember, but he was one of the richest in Ghana, and he had so many survivors, children, grandchildren. He said, till this day, 25 years plus since the old man died, people are still fighting over property. So you can just imagine. Yeah, you want to leave things as a blessing for people. But yeah, for me, to close this out, this is my take on it. Mimi mentioned it, Eden mentioned it, Dennis mentioned it. Anyone giving property as inheritance wants it to be a blessing to you. Otherwise, they would have just chopped the money before they died. That was also very possible. They could have done that, but they sacrificed and limited their expenses, limited their enjoyment, so that you can also enjoy, and it can be a blessing to you more than a curse. Let an inheritance be a blessing to your future. How do you let it be a blessing? You honor it by using it wisely. Tactically, I'd say add it to your financial plan. Treat it as if you received a bonus at work. What would you do with that bonus? That means you have to have a financial plan, right? So you should be having a financial plan already. If you don't have a financial plan, do you know where you should go? Go to Instagram right now. No, it's not for any of the funny things. Go to Instagram right now. Hit on the magnifying glass sign, the search, then look for investment_friend. Investment friend. Over there, Mimi and Seram are standing ready to help you with a financial plan. It's best to have this financial plan before the inheritance comes, so that when the inheritance comes, it just slides in there. I'm not saying anybody will die. Eventually, when they are 90, 100 plus, their time will come, but you need to be prepared. And the best time to be prepared is now. So get on there. Investment friend will help you come up with a personal finance plan. And with any other aspects of your personal life, go follow investment friend. And of course, also follow us here on Money Convos, where we keep having these friendly conversations about money. Just friends talking about money. And let's normalize having healthy conversations about money. Let's spread the word. Let's share it. Tell people to follow us here on X, Instagram, Facebook. Play back the conversations on YouTube, or search for Money Convos wherever you listen to podcasts, so that these things can be a blessing to us. Like Dennis was saying, if his family were aware of some of these things, maybe they wouldn't be fighting. There will be some peace. You have better relationship with his cousins. You understand? But when people are not handling their money well, all of us can get ruined for that. So follow investment friend and Money Convos. And on that bombshell, I wish you all a good night. Enjoy the rest of your week, and catch you same time next week. All right? Bye.
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 Thank you for taking the time to listen to our thoughts. I hope you learned a thing or two and start practicing. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Clubhouse, and Facebook. And subscribe to our YouTube and podcast. Do tell a friend about Money Convos so we all become wealthy together. Talk to you soon. Bye.